Hello everyone and welcome back to Capacity TV. We're here at Datacloud Global Congress 2026. The sun is shining. I'm Amber Jackson and I'm delighted to be joined by Aaron Lewis, Chief Commercial Officer for Data Centers at Johnson Controls. Aaron, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for the invite. This is great.
Obviously, you've got a big presence at Cannes this year. With that being said, how do you see the data center market right now? What's going on? What are some of the most urgent trends in the industry?
I think even over the past several years, what we're seeing, particular to Europe, is we're starting to see the scale come here. And when you get to scale, you really run into what are the capacity constraints. So the top three things we're always going to discuss, of course, are power and efficiency and how that's being generated. And then we're talking about water usage, right? And where we're going to use natural resources and how that's going to affect the community is big. And I would say the third constraint that's really been hot over the past several months, and particularly in Europe, is about sound. How do we make sure that we reduce the amount of sound that when these data centers get built at the size and scale they are, how do we not affect negatively the community around them?
And how has Johnson Controls geared up for some of those big challenges that you've talked about in recent years?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the first steps were to make sure that we can fill the demand of the market, right? So expanding factory capacities around the world, creating global platforms so that the supply chain is robust. And that we can make sure we fulfill all the demands of each customer in each region was really, really important. In terms of water usage, we do have a great effect with our consultants and with our owners around what type of systems get designed. So investing in things like air-cooled chillers and water-cooled chillers, but that are substantially different now so they can operate with dry coolers as opposed to evaporating water, really helps drive down the designs that used all that water in the past. So that's a really important differentiator over where we used to be several years ago. And the last piece is around sound. So that gets generated a couple of different ways, but looking for attenuation opportunities. A lot of that is moving toward magnetic bearing technology for your compressors, especially in your air-cooled chillers. That almost negates all of the sound from your compressors. Then you're really just worrying about the condenser fan decks, and that's something that can be more easily mitigated. So really thinking about in concert all three of those things at the same time to produce the most responsible and sustainable solution, not just individual components.
And as you're looking at the pipeline, kind of say 3 to 5 years ahead, what are some of the biggest challenges that you foresee? But also, what are you hearing from customers? What are the obstacles?
Yeah, 3 to 5 years is an eternity right now in the data center space, right? Because the great thing about what's going on, the data center boom is kind of pushing, is this drive toward new technology, especially in the thermal space, where that's been a kind of a steady, growing, but not expanding quickly market. Now you're seeing room to go back and reevaluate technologies that may have been too expensive in the past or they didn't scale in the past. To maybe look at those again. So we're looking far in the future, I'll say, in terms of liquid cooling, of course, is a big discussion. So you see we've developed our own CDUs that we think will be more efficient and will fit better within systems. We just acquired a company called Alloy that has a unique cold plate design with engineering in terms of heat exchange that we think is going to revolutionize the way we build our chillers and CDUs. It's going to be amazing. So we're really thinking about what does the future of the thermal chain look like, and we need to be prepared for multiple iterations of what that could look like, because none of us really know what's going to happen in the white space. So it's building flexible solutions that scale, but give us room to tweak in the future to make sure we maintain the SLAs and everything else that's important to the chip makers and the data center owners.
And obviously the market is moving fast and it's very complex. How important is collaboration with other industry stakeholders, communities, industry partners, academia, etc.? What ways are you working with them as well?
Yeah, it's more critical every day right now, and I would say when we work with vendors, partners, etc., right? That's about, and I put our owners in that bucket too. It's about building trusting relationships. But you need to get those to a place where you can share openly and be transparent, where you can co-innovate so that you build those sustainable, responsible systems. Because it's the next piece that's brand new to us all is how do we create partnerships and communities, right? And that takes a lot, that's a different muscle that we haven't used in the past, right? Having to do that proactively to make sure that we're resolving any issues that might slow down the projects later, but also it's the media in general around and the protests, and we're seeing things slow down the build of data centers. It's around the things we talked about: power usage, water usage, and sound. Most of that's about education. So in terms of partnering with the community, we really need to do a better job as a whole of educating the community, not just of the risks that are real that they're thinking about and that they're asking about, but it's about what are the benefits that come along with the construction and the operation of a data center in that community. And there's real opportunity there.
Well, yeah, it's a very, very important time for the industry, that's for sure. With that being said, what is, for you personally, what is the most exciting thing about the industry at the moment?
It's the speed of the innovation. So I've been in HVAC. My family, it's a generational a business for me, and so I've been doing this for 30 years myself. And it's never been as interesting as it is today around developing and innovating new technologies and figuring out how to integrate those into this ecosystem of the business to serve what is essentially a new market, a new customer almost every day. The way things are expanding so quickly, right? The things that used to be built for a 20 megawatt or a 40 megawatt campus, finding a way to scale those to a 1 gigawatt campus. While almost every day we see chip manufacturers change the operating temperatures, right? Which changes the cold plates and then changes the CDUs, which changes the chillers. So figuring out a way, the challenge, the engineering challenge that it takes to develop a sustainable system along the thermal chain is what I'm really passionate about from my engineering perspective. But then really, I am really passionate about two other things. So the community involvement and how we benefit the communities that we serve, being a good neighbor, very important to Johnson Controls in general. And then workforce development. So how do we use the scale of our operation today to create more good jobs in whatever community we're operating in? And those are available, right? So whether it's through the trades, through project management, builders, all those folks, they're good jobs, high-paying jobs, where there's job security in them too. People can build economies in places where there may not have been previously. So I'm really excited about that piece of it.
That's great. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time and for talking to me in the sunshine.
It's great to see you.